I just got back from women's group at church, and what I want to talk about today is what we talked about at women's group. We talked about wisdom and understanding. We had one question. They're doing this questions from this book. I can't remember the name of the book, so I can't tell you what the book was. But today, for September 21st, the question was, where do you find wisdom and how do you find understanding? That was it. That's all we were given. And we talked about wisdom. And we talked about wisdom very briefly. Wisdom, it seems, is easy to find. The group was me at 25, another woman who, my estimate would be she would be in her 30s, mid-30s, maybe early 40s. And everyone else was 50 through 80. And so it was an interesting group to start with, but we all agreed on where wisdom came from. Wisdom comes from within, and an acknowledgement of that wisdom, and it comes from without. Conversations, stories, children, movies, reading, literature. It can come anywhere. Wisdom is all around us. It's understanding that wisdom, which seems to be the hardest part for everyone, and I'm very thankful for that. It's heartening for me to sit in a room with 6 or 7 other women, all of whom are a great deal older than I am, and listen to them say, you know what, I'm still working on the fact that I'm judgmental sometimes, or I'm still working on getting through this adolescent rebellion that I feel like I'm in. I was like, thank you so much for saying to me, I feel like I'm still dealing with this. Because I thought at 25, still dealing with this was sort of like, come on, Autumn, let's get over yourself. At some point, we need to move on. But no, it's okay. It's alright. It's probably healthy in all realities, which is good. And so it was fascinating. And so we talked about understanding. And understanding, in my opinion, is a willingness to be open to it, an acceptance of the signs and points and words and images and the things that bring the wisdom up, and we can acknowledge it. We probably already have it all in here somewhere. It's accessing it and acknowledging it and finding a way to show it and share it and live your life with it, which is the hardest part. The understanding and then the application of that understanding. So we talked about our different ways of understanding things. So we talked about the openness, like I mentioned, and this is something I learned in massage school, actually, that, you can't really learn anything if you're not open to it. And this has to do with judgment, and this has to do with being absolutely fucking sure that you know everything, which, no one does. No one does. Not me, not the older women who were in my meeting this morning, not, people who are 110. It doesn't make sense. It doesn't all right. Nobody gets it all. And you know what? My guess is that we're not supposed to. So the first step, of course, is accepting that you don't know everything. And the next step would be being okay with that. Because it's not necessarily easy to be okay with the fact that you don't know everything. I mean, you have all these people who come to you with things and saying, I don't know, sort of as an acceptable answer. And it pretty much has to do with my inability to really let people be close and really just love people for who they are. Because if you know someone, they're good and they're bad and they're ugly and they're all of this stuff. Well, it's not easy. So I've been working on it, and I doing much better because I'm aware of it and I'm catching myself. I catch myself. And though I'm a lot better than I was like 3, 4, 5 years ago, the point is that I'm working on that. And I'm actively working on it. And for the most part, I'm getting better. And I'm proud of myself. And the people in my life who are aware of these things are proud of me. So that's good too. I'm getting a lot of people's judgments. And I judge too. I mean, I'm honest that I make judgments too about other people that I don't know. And it's cultural, it's societal, it's stereotypes, and things that we don't even realize we're doing. And until we acknowledge it, or, you know, those of us who know we shouldn't, and yet we're still fighting against it. So it's good. I'm proud of myself. I'm growing up. But what I really wanted to share, and now I'm totally rambling on forever, is this. There's a couple things for me that have been the greatest help in trying not to be judgmental and not taking things personally, which is a kind of judgment because you're assuming that whatever somebody else is doing has to do with you. And let me tell you what, huge percentage of the time, it's got nothing to do with you. I think when I first heard this, I was told 90% of the time, the way someone treats you or reacts to you has nothing to do with you. It has to do with them and their mood and what they're doing and what's going on and how they got to where they are in their life and the judgments they have in their head and the programming that they've received and the life they've lived. And, you know, you never know. They could be in pain, they could be hurting, they could have a bad day, they just got off the phone with their wife and they're having a fight, or one of the kids is sick, or, you know, their boyfriend just dumped them. They could be upset and angry or whatever, and that doesn't have anything to do with you. Nothing. And I would probably say about 95% of the time the way someone reacts to you has very little to do with you. And it has everything to do with them. I try personally to react to people on a one-on-one basis because I know that, and I know people still take it personally. But I try. And so, you know, there are people in my life, like my husband and my friends and strangers, who, when I interact with them, and I don't understand why they're being snippy with me or short or whatever it is that they may be reacting in a less than positive manner, when I'm giving them a positive interaction as far as I'm concerned, they are reacting because something else is going on in their life, and it doesn't really have to do with me. I'm not necessarily the bad person. You know, some people just have bad days. Everybody has a bad day once in a while. You wake up on the wrong side of the bed, you're grumpy, you whatever. Part of happiness is working through that, but also part of happiness is acknowledging that, yeah, it does not have to do with you. And I'm not perfect about that. In fact, I'm not perfect about anything. And I think I'm doing okay. I'm doing alright, and I'm happy with it. So, that's what matters. Very, very happy. And I'm improving every day. I will never be perfect, and I will always have something to work on. And I'm pleased with that. It's a little sad and frustrating, but there will always be something to do. I will never, ever be bored. Which is good. So anyway, the other thing that is extremely important to me, and I value deeply, is the belief that everyone comes with good intentions. Good intentions. Now, action is valuable. Whatever the outcome of an action or the actual action itself, they have value. It matters. The intention is not the only thing that matters, but I believe it does matter. And I think we have to take into account intention. And I think just about everybody has good intentions. And if they don't, it's a good intention in their mind. I mean, I've rarely met anyone who's gone out of their way to just blatantly hurt someone else. I'm sure they had whatever was in their mind a good reason. I don't like the reason. I don't like the reason. I don't think it's a good reason. But I'm sure that they intended for it to be best for themselves or someone else. That doesn't mean that I'm okay with it. And when the action occurs, sometimes we make a decision and we do what we have to. I've cut people out of my life because they betrayed me, or they made promises too many times and I gave them too many chances. Just because you believe in other people and you want to give them a chance, and you want to love them and you want to be there for them and you want to give them the opportunity to show you and to really be the person they are, sometimes you just can't do it. So sometimes you gotta step back, and it hurts, but it's the right choice. But I don't believe for an instant that they didn't have good or reasonable intentions. I don't. I want to, but that would be dehumanizing them. So, in recap, wisdom is everywhere. Understanding is the hard part, and letting go of your judgments is the hard part. So, that said, give other people a chance. Remember that most of the time, the way they're reacting to you has nothing to do with you, and they are focused on good intentions. I was going to sort of ramble, but I totally got wrapped up in this, and I think it was very important to talk about. So thank you for listening, and I will talk to you later.